host and coach, Dr. Sneha Sharma. And today's session, we are in week 3 of Career Spotlight with Sneha. And today's session is going to be very, very special because today's session is for all those who are looking to build their careers in data science as data engineers, data analysts, everything. And to help you understand this better, I have a special guest with us today. It is Mr. Dipanshu Kalra, and I'm going to bring him on in a moment. In the meanwhile, if you can see me and you can hear me, please let me know in the chat window that you can see me and you can hear me quickly. I'll be really glad to see all of you saying a yes in the chat window that you can see me and you can hear me. Maybe a good evening or a good afternoon will rock even more. Can all of you see me and hear me out? Please let me know in the chat window if you can see me and you can hear me out. Great. All right. I'm looking forward to see a couple of yes coming in the window so that I know that you're there, so that we can quickly start with the session. All right. So by the time Dipanshu joins us, let me quickly introduce Dipanshu to all of you. A very dear friend of mine, Dipanshu, is a data engineer at Google. He's previously worked with Microsoft and he has experience of over 9 years working in this industry. And he is going to be helping you out in building your career in data science. So, Dipanshu, can you can you hear us? Can you see us? All right. So Dipanshu is going to be joining us in a moment. In the meanwhile, why don't you punch in your questions related to data, data science, data analytics? What are the things which are bothering you in this field? Because this is one field that is going to be the next one in the coming years, and it has already made a lot as in a change in the industry. So yes, we have Dipanshu right here. Excellent. Yes, Dipanshu, hi and welcome. And sorry for the technical glitch. And this is the reality of the technical life, and I'm so okay with it. So, taking it forward from here. So we have the viewers joining us live. So yes, I have already introduced you as the go-to person for building their careers in the world of data. So if you would help us understand what is this data all about and why is this field coming up so quickly, and then we can go on discussing the roles which exist in the field. Over to you. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Sneha, and thanks for such good introduction. I'm just one of the persons who's working in the data field, and there are like not many like me. To introduce myself, I have around 9 years of experience, and I'm working with Google and I've worked with Microsoft in the past. Uh, right now, in the world of data, it's really, really, interesting, and we are in the front seat of the new world, the AI world and the ML world, which is coming up. Me being a data engineer is kind of trying to enable such organizations to handle their data. Right now, with a lot of data in the world, the IoT devices, the so many websites and the internet, all of these things are contributing data and generating data every time. Your phone is generating so much data right now, when you're sitting on it and just using it. So all that data needs to be analyzed by the organizations. Like if there's some error happening, or how the customer is trying to buy on Amazon, or on Flipkart, or how Google users are searching in the web engine. That what are the latest searches? You see so many dashboards and so much information around that every day when you look at Google. So all of those data needs to be answered, and there are very specific roles which are needed in organizations like data engineers, data scientists, ML engineers, AI engineers, data analysts, and so many more. Right. So these are plethora of data roles which are there in organizations, and they help move such data around. So that data can become information and be useful for the companies. and they can build their business using their data and make it go to the next level. So yeah, that's what all the data roles are about generally.
Absolutely. I love the line when you say that we need to pick up the data and create it into some useful set of information, which completely makes sense. All right. So, the next question is again, I'll be clearing a doubt which I have received as a question from many of my tribe on LinkedIn, that how or what are the skill sets which are different for different data roles? Okay. As in data engineers, data science, what is it? Because I think being a non-technical person, can such a person also enter the field of data? Can they decide to do that at a later stage? If yes, what are the possibilities? Over to you.
So yeah, there are many such non-technical roles as well in data where you just need to learn basic SQL and maybe some visualizations, charts and a little bit of Excel, where you can help, with getting the data into that information as well. Like if, but those are on small levels, and there are not many interesting roles. Like at least for me, organization will do that because I am also more into coding, and that's what data engineering requires. But there are definitely such roles. A variety of data analyst roles are bound to, and Tableau and Looker and such visualization tools. So you just bring in the data which is already cooked by data engineers, and you just then use that to show it on a dashboard, and just write basic SQL queries to move the columns around, and that is possible. And but yeah, you need to know SQL for sure to get into any data role. I can say that without a doubt, and I think all the people who are listening and who are in data will agree to me with that.
All right, makes sense. So, apart from the technical skills that you're referring to, what are the soft skills that you think are needed in a person to, behave well in this role, do well, and grow well? I mean, maybe the problem solving skills, the analytical skills. What are the basics? I mean, people can learn technical skills if they really, want to get into this field. So, are there a couple of skill sets which come to your mind when you think about such roles? Over to you.
Sure, sure. So there are many technical skills on the basis of the kind of role that you have with the organization, but yes, soft skill are a major part as well in it. So like any job in the world, it requires you to be positive and humble, with the things that you work. But specifically in data roles, because you are sitting on everything which your organization is doing, you have to understand the whole picture, right? And you have to make sure that. So there is a small story that in the World War II, the planes were flying, and the planes which were coming back had holes in the wings part of it, and people thought, yeah, because the bodies were weak, that's why they enforced the wings, because they were getting shot at, but they were coming back. So you know those things, they restructured the wings and made it better, but the main part was when the shots were getting fired at the engine, only then it was falling down, right? So the interpretation of the data is very important. So you have to understand the whole picture in a way, and also you have to be very close to data. You have to understand how to interpret it. Problem solving and analytical skills are another major good part of it, because you cannot analyze things, and you cannot just analyze things and just be with it without interpreting it. So the third part comes with that is good communication skills. You have to be able to tell what you have found in data, right? You have to be able to present that to the leadership, or to the business, to make sure to enable them to take the right decisions. So that's another good part which needs to be another good skill which needs to be with you in your in your forte, that you have to be good at. So yeah, I think that sums it up in the soft skills section.
Excellent. All right. So we have a couple of questions from our audience. So we can have the questions if you are ready to help the audience with that. So Saurabh is asking, since data science is mostly a graduate level degree, you can correct him if he's right or wrong. How challenging do you think it will be to find a job with a bachelor's degree in data science? Right. Over to you.
So, Sneha, do you want to clarify what's the difference between a graduate level degree and a bachelor's degree?
No, he basically wants to ask this only, that data science, probably he wanted to ask that people usually pick up data science as a post graduation specification. MBA in data analytics has come up, postgraduate diplomas in data analytics has come up. So if somebody picks up a graduate degree in data science, I mean, I'm a BSc, right? So
Right.
instead of doing that, if somebody picks up graduation in data science, is there a possibility for field also? Or does it make more sense to do a BTech or a BSc IT and then dive into the specific field of data analytics? I think that's what Saurabh wants to ask. Over to you.
So for data science, there could be many graduate courses and there could be many bachelor level courses, which I understand. Like the post grad courses, there are a lot of those. There's data science degrees in masters, like in MTech and all as well. And of course, now new triple ITs and NITs, I heard they are teaching AI with in the BTech itself. So yeah, I think those students which are coming with those skills in the graduate degree itself will be much more suited for these roles because they will have an understanding of data. So when it comes to these roles of a data scientist, you cannot become a data scientist on the day one. It's if the full-fledged data scientist role will be, I think, it comes with experience, it comes with the knowledge of statistics, it comes with like a lot of working on regressions, a lot of working on creating those models that you have to to interpret your data in a better way. And they they have to not just be a graduate and just be out of college to get all that experience. That experience also matters, right? So data science roles, you have to have that experience as well as the degree. So it doesn't matter if you have a graduate degree or a bachelor degree, if you have those right skills, right, which are needed for you to start that job, even if it's
Right.
any job in data. But to be a data scientist, a full data scientist or a data engineer, you have to have that experience which comes with while you're working with data. You have to know how to talk to data basically.
Excellent. So, what is your, I mean, what is the career path that somebody should follow if they are a final year student to enter the world of data? I mean, what do you suggest them to do if they're in final year and they want to get into this field? So, how should they go about it?
So, as I told you, there are like many multiple roles which are there in the field of data. I would like them to choose that which one they are the most interested in. I shared a PDF with you, just now, just a few minutes back, which I posted on LinkedIn as well a while back, which tells us about all those roles and all the skills which are needed. Okay, so the in this, if you
I'll
will
put it on
just
the screen for you if you need it. Yeah.
yeah. If you just slide across, you will see that I have mentioned almost all the data roles which are there in an organization, and there are the what are the skills needed for these. But to start with, as a final year student, I'll say just read through this PDF, and maybe Sneha, you can share it after the live with the students as well. That you need to know SQL for sure for all of these roles, but there are very specific technical knowledge which you need to have with the other roles, specific roles. Like for data science, you have to have knowledge of statistics, you have to have knowledge of, like for data engineering, you have to have knowledge of Python or Scala or Java or such programming languages with, a much deeper understanding of data as well and moving data around. Data analysts, you have to be really good at visualizing or picturing the data. There is a very big difference, as I say like a lot many times, there is a very big difference between a bar chart and a line chart. It's not that evident, they're both showing the same thing, but line chart shows a trend, how the data is moving up or down, and bar chart is just to compare those two. So such things which come with experience, and you have to know those if you want to get in visualization field. And that's a tricky part in data analyst. And if you are really interested in analytics and all, you have to start from there as per your interests basically.
Excellent. I can relate somewhat to it because holding a doctorate, we were forced to do a lot of statistical analysis, which had, such things coming up. But yes, you're right. There is a very bleak line of difference, and it actually comes by going through the data, fighting with it, understanding the difference, and then getting on with it. So another question which has come from Devashish is, with so many antiviruses and other software working on data privacy, how hard do you think it will become for a marketeer to get the right data, or maybe enough data? I mean, yeah.
Hmm. Okay, this is interesting. So I'm not sure
Probably
how
there
to
is.
comment on that.
Okay.
So does he mean that with data privacy restrictions, it's harder to capture
Yeah.
for marketers?
Yeah, maybe because with data privacy restrictions, the data that we as companies want to know to give better user experience might be restricted by me as a user itself. So he's just asking that, is it really possible that with data privacy being enforced at a larger level, will it still be possible for companies to use data to give some realistic results or some realistic interpretations for the marketing or the advertising world? I mean, that's what I think Devashish wants to ask.
Okay, that's a very very vast topic, to talk about data privacy. You know, looking at as a user, maybe Devashish won't want his data to go out, right? Like what is sorry, I can't.
Yes, he won't understand the depth of the question because it is not that easy to, take it up and maybe come out, because companies must be looking at it from different perspectives.
Right, but still, there is a lot of data in the market. Even saying that, there are some. It depending upon that what he's interested in marketing world, what the people are interested in. So the kind of data that marketeers need could be different than the general data which people are not trying to give. To protect their privacy. So there is a very, very good guidelines which they're called GDPR, which Euro nations have provided. Those put restrictions on companies to not get users' data and use it or misuse it basically. So those are called like personal identifiable information, PII we call it. So if you have such information, you cannot reuse it. But like information like, say 100 people used Google in 1 second, or 1,000 people used Amazon to buy products in say 1 hour or something. So those information can be shared with marketeers, but where that person lives, what's his marital status and all that, the companies are trying to protect such information, but still there is such information available in the internet and everybody knows it. And that's why whole data privacy is coming up into the picture. There are browsers which are enabling data privacy in their browsing itself. There are phones. In your phones you can enable the data privacy part of your sections. You can tell if an app can see your camera, if they can access your microphone. So all those are because of the data privacy guidelines and the restrictions that government has put on all these companies. And that's good in a way, and
Absolutely.
that's bad maybe for marketeers.
Makes sense. All right. So we have a question coming from Sunil. He's asking any advice for someone who's getting started with data engineering. So although I think you've answered this, but he's specifically asking about data engineering. So that's one
Yeah, this
specific
is this
question
is
to
where
a field.
I think I'll be able to answer it the best. I think from all the other ones. So, so for data engineering, as I already told you, like what the role entails. But to get started into it, I made a post on LinkedIn as well. I'll just reiterate about it. So there are a few things that you need to get into data engineering. One is that you have to have good knowledge of data. You should be able to analyze data and process it in your head. Those numbers should basically talk to you. That's the level that you have to get at with general data talking. Okay. The second, you have to be really, really good at SQL. You have to be you have to be able to query any database that you want to, and you have to be able to get all those numbers. You can get it to percentages, the divisions and aggregations and all. You should be able to do all of that. There are many such courses available online which helps you do that. The next, you should be really good at one of the programming languages. My personal preference is Python, but Java, Scala, and Go are other good popular languages which are there in the market and which are being heavily used. Next, you have to be really, really good with the big data infrastructure. You have to know how Hadoop works, how the cloud systems works. what is AWS, Azure, and GCP doing the latest, and how they are, how the distributed systems are working. All of that. You have to be good at visualizations, as we just discussed, the bar chart and the line chart example, and also you have to be good at communication skills with the problem solving and analytical skills.
Excellent. So I think Sunil must have got all the possible advice to, jumpstart his career in data engineering. So we have a question from Natrajan Palani. He's asking that about how was your experience in the technical round in Microsoft and Google? So how was the experience about your experience while you tried to get into Google and Microsoft, the two, the best of the companies that you worked with?
Right. So the technical interviews are the major part of the interview process in Microsoft and Google, because I was getting hired for a technical role, and the companies try to make sure that it's a pleasant experience for you. It's not that you have to be go there with the right attitude, and you have to go there as a discussion and not a firefighting, or it's not a competition between you and the interviewer. Obviously they know more than you, but you have to be there with a good attitude, and that's what I tried to do. And the interview experience was really pleasant. The technical rounds were really, really, mind throbbing, and they let you use your mind to the abilities that they possibly want to learn from you. That like how much can you give to the company, and how technically good you are. All of those things they try to get that out, and they have like very good ways to do that. The companies have designed the rounds before you even start your interview process, and that's what the good thing about these companies are. They how mature they have made the interview process now, that it's like very unbiased and very much interview friendly. So I think it's not that
Excellent.
that challenge is not
Absolutely.
there, but the challenge is to brush up your technical skills, and your
Yes.
programming and your SQL skills and all those skills which you need for that particular role, and just be confident.
Right. So I think before coming to concluding today's session, I want you to quickly help me as a person understand: is there some synchronicity between data science, data engineering, and artificial intelligence? Are they moving in the same direction, or are they overlapping, or are they both using each other in some way? Because we have a question based on this, but I wanted to first have an understanding if they really make sense putting up together. Over to you.
So yeah, they are. So these all just work together in a way that, like, I'll give you an example of data engineering and data science. So they are all like a data flow journey of the whole data, how it moves across your organization. The data comes into your organization, the data engineer works on it, and gets it to a format which can be easily used by everyone else in the organization. Then the data scientists and the data analysts and the AI engineers, all those come into the picture. They use that data. The data analysts will use that data to make those dashboards and make it look good. Data scientist will come into the picture, and he will just use that data to make his models to predict something using that. So that data has to be in a good format, which the data engineer does. After that, the data scientists come into play. And the same goes with the AI roles as well. It's similar. The data which is ingested and needs to be in a proper way, which is then used for all the models, the AI models or the MI models, which our companies are building to. It's
Right.
all data-based roles in a way that they have to work with the data which we are getting. Right? It cannot be just some random calculations or some random numbers which people are throwing at. They have to be based on data. So that's how all these roles are interconnected and just build on
Interconnected.
each other.
Absolutely. Because we have a question from Wasim. He's asking, what's your take on use of AI in digital marketing? And how much can we rely on the alternates that you can suggest to enrich our target audience? Which I feel is a question more to be answered on a marketing foreground than based on data science or data engineering. So I
It's a
think
good
what
question.
he's trying to ask is, yeah, over to you.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, though my knowledge in digital marketing is very limited, but I think with the AI coming to the picture, they will be able to tell that where to market and whom to market, and they will be able to predict that part. And there could be many more areas in digital marketing which I might not be aware of where AI can be useful. But
Right.
it's all about a marketing campaign also produces data, right? It tells you that you sent email to say 100 persons, or or a group of say 10 firms, and one of them responded, or say 10 of the 100 people responded, or something like that. And we can then build some AI model to predict that such kind of people will respond to your emails or your call calls, or whatever the digital marketing way that you're using today. I'm sorry, I will not be able to add
No, no, I
much.
think you've already given a good direction. So it makes a lot of sense because you will be able to carry out more targeted marketing. That's how artificial intelligence, because a human intelligence cannot interpret, what tons of data. But artificial intelligence can actually do analysis to an extent where you could be very specific in terms of reaching to the right audience, right? So I think you've
Yes.
given a great answer based on your holistic knowledge of the same. So that's excellent. So I think we have come to an end of a great session where I think we touched upon a couple of things, and I've got a lot of cues on what could be the future career spotlight shows on, because there are a lot of questions around one single topic which could be taken up further. So if I if I would request you to give your last point of advice to all the young professionals who are trying to get into this field, what would be your single advice to them? I mean, what should they do so that they get the right, I mean, they should approach it the right way and they are able to build their career on the right way, the right career path, I may call it. Yeah.
I think you will be the better person, Sneha, to give that advice, being a career coach. But from my perspective, I'll just tell them to just try out everything while you're young, and give try experimenting with a lot of things and find what you are interested in. After you find that, you have to try to get a job in a field of your choice, because your first job defines your whole career, and it's really hard to get out of the career choice that you've already made. So just try to find what you're passionate about and go with it, and just keep hustling.
Excellent. So I think, yeah, that sums up everything. So I think, like I said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So how you pick up your career is how you live your life, and how you live your life is the way you actually live your career. So yeah, in life, like I always feel that you should be always in the learning mode, and keep trying new things, keep hustling, keep putting in that effort, extra effort to get into a little more clarity, but still behind all this be joyful and happy, because that's the whole perspective of doing everything. So thank you, Dipanshu, with folded hands, for joining all of us here
Thank you so
today.
much.
I hope all of you had a great time and got some insights. You can reach out to Dipanshu on LinkedIn and connect with him for more tips on clearing some technical interviews, getting your resumes reviewed, and more details on how to get into the big five, and specifically in the field of data. I think he's the right person to take you across to some practical perspectives. So
Thank
thank you everyone for joining us today, and I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Thank you very much.
thank you, Sneha.
Thank you, Dipanshu. It was a pleasure hosting you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you.